Thank you for joining us for another Country Profiles this week. I'm traveling to a country that has very strong religious background, beliefs, and history. This week, I'm taking you to Palestine, and we're going to discover all that's beautiful about Palestine. We're going to try to talk about, yes, some of the things that historically are known about the country, Bible history, and things you often see in the media about conflicts in that country as well. And we're going to discover all of that this week with my friend and colleague, Natalie. Hi, Natalie. How are you?
Hi. Thank you for having me this week.
My pleasure. Let's talk about Palestine and get people to know all about the beautiful country of Palestine. When you tell people you're from Palestine, what's one of the first things that generally come from them or you hear from people?
Well, usually people think that if you're from Palestine, you're basically not modernized, and that you don't have technology. That's first. Second, people also think that everybody living in Palestine is just, all they do is just fight, and they just all assume that all Palestinians hate Jews for some reason.
And that would be primarily because of, current discourse taking place in the media. As I said before, there's always stories about the conflict between Israel and Palestine. But what would you say then is everyday life like in Palestine? What do people do in Palestine?
Well, I guess people living in Palestine just are the same as people living in any other Arabic country.
Well, of course.
But what makes Palestine a bit different is that Palestinians are very attached to their religious beliefs and their faith. So their faith is primarily takes a big part of their life, daily routine too.
Oh, interesting. So then, in terms of what do people do for fun and like general practices like sport, music, and food, what would you say like is popular music in your country?
Popular music. Well, people there actually listen to everything. Like they're pretty modernized with the music, with fashion, how they dress, how they look, how they talk, and they're actually pretty much educated. They're well educated, yeah.
Good. And how about sport? Do people get involved in any particular type of sport in your country?
Yes, they play. If I'm not wrong, but they play all the sports. Everything. Palestinians are very active people when it comes to sports. They play basketball, soccer, tennis, swimming, and they're constantly competing against other Palestinian teams.
Oh, but do they compete internationally then, just within your own country?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. How about food? What do people eat? What's the most popular dish in your country?
We have a lot. We have like ma'lube, msakhan, wara anab. Basically, it's that's like the number one most popular food in my country. It's basically made out of grape leaves that are like stuffed with rice and minced meat and some really good Arabic seasoning.
Wow.
and it's rolled properly, and you and you cook it with lamb chops. Mm-hmm. So that's our main food.
Wow, sounds interesting. What about languages? What's the main language in your country, would you say?
People speak Arabic and English, and they also learn in schools Greek, Italian, French, German.
Okay, let's discover some places to visit in Palestine. I mean, from what you know, places to go would be the popular Bethlehem city and so forth. But tell us some of those places to visit and other places that you would recommend somebody who visits your country to go.
Well, I would recommend people to come to, first off, Bethlehem, because it's the city I come from.
That's where you're from.
Yes, but it's because it's Jesus City. I like to call it Jesus City because Jesus was born there, yes, and there's a nativity church there, and it's one of the most important churches in the world. Also, there's Jerusalem.
Yes, of course.
Jerusalem is has always been a house of pilgrimage and worship to Christians, Muslims, and Jews. There is the Aqsa Mosque for Muslims and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for Christians. and there is the Western Wall for Jews.
Interesting. Interesting, very diverse. So then, would you say that your the culture in your country is diverse?
Well, from one point of view, I would say it's quite not diverse because considering Palestine is one of the third world countries, so you don't quite see a lot of people from outside saying they want to live in Palestine, secure a career in Palestine, and make a living there. But I would say maybe it's diverse in the point of view of tourism, because Palestine is a very historical place, and it has a lot of natural sites. So you see a lot of tourists always visiting these beautiful places.
Tell us of some of those beautiful places outside of the religious sites that one would visit occasionally when you go to Palestine. Where else would you say you would tell me to go?
Well, yeah, there's, for instance, Tel Aviv for a nice nightlife. There's Haifa, they have beautiful gardens, and there's the Mediterranean Sea there. And there's also Jericho. Jericho is known to be 250 kilometers below ground level. There's a Dead Sea there. And the Dead Sea, a lot of tourists find the Dead Sea very interesting because you can't actually swim properly there. You end up floating.
Ah.
Yeah, and the mud that's in the Dead Sea, a lot of people like to use it because it's good for skin.
Interesting. As well, let's also wrap up this interview by talking about things in your country that currently you as an international student and having the perspective of an outside world would like to see change in your country. If there's one thing you'd like to see change about your country, what would it be?
Well, it's sad because the change I want to see, I doubt that it will happen anytime soon. But what I would say, and what most Palestinians would say, is that we want our country back, because Palestine it's a beautiful country. We have everything there. Everything's provided to us as a country, and we have beautiful natural resources. And so our only problem is that the conflicts that are happening.
Okay. Interesting to learn about
Justice.
Palestine. So justice for Palestinians, you would say?
Justice for Palestinians, yes, because there are 80 million Palestinians that are living outside of Palestine, and there are only a minority that are living in Palestine. So I'd hope to see all of us unite again.
Okay, and we hope for that as well. Thank you for talking to me, Natalie. It was interesting to learn about Palestine from the perspective from her perspective, and not necessarily from what we know, tracing back to the history of the country and, of course, current discussions in the media. It was interesting as usual. I promise you every week we'll go travel to somewhere where you will want to discover. Next week I'll have another guest from another country. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.